Hey everyone, and welcome. So today, we are going to talk about something that English speakers and learners have argued about forever: American versus British English. We're going to look at how they're different, why they're different, and most importantly, what it all means for you. Okay, let's just dive right in.
So, let's start with the big one, the question that's kind of at the heart of it all. Is there a single, real English? A gold standard that everybody else is supposed to follow? It's a really common idea, and honestly, it causes a lot of anxiety for people learning the language.
So, you've probably heard this argument before: Team British English. The thinking goes something like this: the language came from England, so obviously that must be the purest, most correct version, right? It's the original.
But then, of course, you have the other side of the coin. American English is spoken by way more people, and its influence is, well, it's everywhere. Movies, music, the internet. So a lot of people argue that it's actually become the new global standard.
So who wins? The UK? The US? Well, here's the thing. Neither of them do. The whole idea of one single, perfect, correct English, it's just a myth. It's a story we tell ourselves, but it's not actually true. English has never, ever been just one fixed thing.
And to really get why, we've got to look past the grammar books for a second. We need to see how culture itself shapes the way we talk, and even the way we hear other people talk.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because a lot of the time, when we think we're judging language, we're actually judging culture. Think about it. Americans tend to use these big, enthusiastic words like awesome or fantastic just in normal conversation. To someone from the UK, that can sound a little over the top. On the flip side, British English often uses polite understatement, these subtle hints, which an American might not even pick up on. They might just find it confusing. Neither one is wrong. They just come from totally different cultural habits.
And you see this pop up everywhere in our day-to-day words. In the UK, you live in a flat and go on holiday. In the US, that's an apartment and a vacation. A lorry in Britain is a truck in America. And a sweet biscuit you'd have with tea in London is what someone in New York would call a cookie.
And I really want to nail this point home. None of these words are mistakes. They are not errors. They're simply the right words to use in their own cultural home. They're just different branches of the same big family tree. Okay, so this idea of different, not wrong, leads us to something even bigger. Because English isn't some artifact in a museum locked behind glass. It's a living, breathing thing, and it is always, always changing.
I absolutely love this analogy. Thinking of English as a river just makes so much sense. It has a source, sure, but as it flows through new lands, new countries, new generations, it picks up new things, it changes direction. The river is never the same from one moment to the next.
So what's actually driving all this change? Well, a few big things. New tech gives us words we never needed before. I mean, think about selfie or email. As English travels the globe, it absorbs new words from other languages. And of course, young people are always the engine of change, creating new slang like lit. It's all part of this slow, constant, and totally natural evolution. Want to see a crazy example? Let's take the word nice. Today, we all know it means pleasant or kind. But if you go back a few hundred years, nice actually meant foolish or silly. How wild is that? The meaning just shifted little by little over a very long time. It's a perfect example of language on the move.
You always hear people complaining that new words are ruining the language, but that's just not how it works. Change isn't destroying English, it's renewing it. It's what keeps it alive and kicking, relevant for the people who actually use it every single day.
All right, so with all these differences, you can probably guess what happens next. Some pretty hilarious mix-ups, even between people who have spoken English their whole lives. Let's look at a couple of classics.
Okay, picture this. You're in London. An American tourist walks up to you, smiling, and says, "Hey, I like your pants." Now, if you're British, why might you suddenly feel a little weird, maybe even a bit embarrassed? Well, here's why. In the US, pants are the things you wear on your legs, what the British call trousers. But in the UK, pants means your underwear. So that friendly compliment just became a very, very personal comment. It's the perfect example of how one little word can get you into some awkward trouble.
And it's not just clothes, it happens with food all the time. Let's say you go to a pub in London and order some chips. You're going to get thick, hot, fried potatoes, what Americans call fries. But if you ask for chips in New York, you're going to get a bag of what the British call crisps. You can see how lunch could get real confusing real fast.
So the big takeaway here is this stuff happens to everyone. If native speakers get mixed up all the time, then it's totally okay for learners to have these moments too. A misunderstanding is not a failure. It's just a normal, sometimes funny, part of the journey.
And all of this, it brings us to what I think is the most important idea of all. It's about owning your English and focusing on what really truly matters.
I want you to just let this sink in for a second. It doesn't matter if you mix American and British words or if you have an accent from your home country. Your English is not wrong.
It's your version. It's your piece of this massive, incredible living story. Every time you speak, you're joining a global conversation with millions of other voices. Your English is real. Your English is valid.
So please, stop chasing this impossible idea of perfection. The real goal, the only one that actually matters, is to be understood. It's about connecting with other people, not about passing some imaginary grammar test.
And that's what we'll end on. English doesn't belong to a single country. It doesn't belong to a committee. It belongs to every single person who uses it to share their ideas and their stories, and that, for sure, includes you. Thanks for joining me for this one.